recycle Bibles. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
WGNS, Murfreesboro, Smyrna. Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Rutherford Issues is powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. They have a charitable foundation called Sharing Change, and it's funded by members who round up their electric bills to the nearest dollar each month as a donation and support hundreds of nonprofits. Find out more at sharingchange.org. It's time to talk about one of my favorite subjects, Rutherford County Schools, and School Board Vice Chair Claire Maxwell joins us here in studio. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. Rutherford County School product right here, so.
Likewise.
Yeah. I'm going to be filling in on Monday on the Action Line program at 8 a.m. or 8:10, and Butch Campbell is going to be on, my former principal, and we're going to talk about Walter Hill's 100th. And John Dinkins, who I do a lot of things here at the station with.
That is going to be a marvelous celebration.
Yeah, and we're going to be, he's going to join me, and we're going to reminisce about Walter Hill, so that'll be fun.
Our esteemed superintendent is an alumni of Walter Hill.
He is, very proud alumni.
Yes, he is.
Yeah, so that is awesome. So we'll be doing that on Monday, just for those who want to keep up with what's happening with schools. And back to school, 12 days away, Claire.
It's going to be here. I'm sorry, kiddos. It's time to go back. But there's also some really good things that are going on as far as building-wise. And unfortunately, a lot of these projects won't be open for another year, the 25-26 cycle. But when you go back to school, you can really see what's going on. And I drove by Riverdale and Oakland yesterday, and man, you're not even recognize those schools when they're finished. Yeah, they've already blown out the middle. So when you went in the front entrance where the cafeteria and guidance, that's gone.
Okay.
And the cafeteria,
so like the courtyard area?
Yeah, well, the courtyard's beyond that. We're talking inside.
Oh.
And that has to be ready next week.
Oh, wow.
So it looks like it's going to be. But the renovations at Riverdale and Oakland were very extensive. Mm-hmm. They were basically a whole facelift for the school. Bigger cafeteria, a bigger auditorium, and so it's going to be encapsulating the kids in a hallway. Whenever they go to another part of the school, the annex will now be attached to the main, which is a huge thing through a sky bridge.
Well, to tell you how long I've been around, I was in the second year of the Oakland Annex. So.
Oh, okay. So you remember that.
Yeah.
And then the courtyard, we're going to have to say goodbye to the courtyard as we know it. There's going to be 30 classrooms in that courtyard, 2-story high, and the second story will connect to the annex by a sky bridge. And you will drive underneath to get back to softball, football at Oakland, and so it's going to be beautiful. It's going to be really, really pretty. And
yeah, that second entrance really helped too,
though.
Oh,
absolutely. They had to make there were a lot of bumps in the road, but we got through them. But there was things that the state wanted us to do. There was things the city wanted us to do. And we just all worked together and we got it done. And they're on track to be opening next fall, and it's going to be glorious. And I'm really, really proud of that. And Smyrna looks like they may be almost done. I mean, they got their renovations were not as extensive as Riverdale and Oakland. So they were doing basically an added wing that will hopefully get them out of portables as well. And it's beautiful as well. And I need to run over there and see it, because the last time I drove by, it looked great from the outside. They really were moving and shaking on that, because they were able to start that earlier than they did the projects. Riverdale and Oakland kind of got bogged down with, this pipe. Oh, well, this wasn't supposed to be here, that kind of thing,
Someone put it in there 50 years ago.
Exactly. So, but we got through it, and so they're moving and shaking. And I'm also really excited to see that the elementary school, Poplar Hill, on the John L. Beatty property, is it's on its way to being ready too. So hopefully we will have a elementary school, and the high schools will be ready to go. And we've also got It's not going to be ready this year. I was hoping so, but it's we're not going to be able to work it in. But hopefully by next year we have a new alternative school going online, and this one's actually on the Allstate building, right next to Farm Bureau on Church Street.
Oh,
We're
yeah,
renovating that, and
Okay.
that's going to be a third alternative school. As we've grown, we've also the need has grown for that too as well. So
Wasn't there more than one on the plans, or at least, or you were looking at more than one alternative school?
I was told there was just one. Now there is a
Okay.
behavior school for elementary kids, Simon Springs.
That's
in
in
the
Laverne.
old. That's in the old
Okay.
Roy Waldron Annex. Yeah, that's down there. Probably will need another one, unfortunately, as the county grows. And there's some kids that need some redirection. They need to go. They need to leave their classroom until they can learn. And some of those kids, it's amazing. Some of those kids really like it over there. It's like 15 to a classroom. It's smaller. They get the individualized attention that maybe they weren't getting, and the only way they got the attention was by negative attention, which isn't the right attention. So I'm excited to see this school, and hopefully, if we need another one, we can find the building. And this is a great idea. What we're doing here, we're renovating it, so we're not having to buy land and build up and everything. And they negotiated a very, very favorable price for us too, which doesn't always happen, but
Sure.
when we can get it, we like it.
Well, and that brings me to I wanted to kind of dig a little deeper into the additions to the high schools, because you're building those additions much less than you would have to build a new high school somewhere.
For $156 million, we got Smyrna, Riverdale, and Oakland done.
And it would have cost that probably for a new high school,
Metro
right?
Nashville and Bellevue just built the last high school that will probably be. I don't know who they used, but it could be the same people that same companies bid on all of these
Sure.
projects. $134 million
Wow.
for one school.
That's crazy.
And we are going to build a high school.
We're gonna have to.
We're going to in the next 4 years, because we've got Poplar Hill Elementary going up. After that, in a year later, we need to start the middle school. And thank goodness we have the property. There's room for it on the property. But then we've got to find land in the north end. I'm hoping and cautiously optimistic we may have found some. I'm not. Can't
Now,
say
north
anything.
end, are we saying Laverne,
Yes.
Smyrna, or Blackman, or kind of
No,
Stewart's Creek?
No, we're talking Laverne,
Okay.
north. And and this would be ideal if this works out. But we've got to start, and within 4 years, we have to start a high school. And the county commission's aware of that. I mean, we wish we weren't, but we can't put a Rutherford County's closed sign. We can't. They're going to come.
Well, there's a state mandate, right?
Exactly, and they absolutely are coming. If you don't think that our schools aren't the reason why they're coming, then it is. It's a good part of it.
Let me ask you too about, I think it was wise to buy the farm across from Walter Hill School years ago, just because that's land that if you didn't get it, it probably wouldn't be here by now.
Absolutely.
And you're going to need it at some point. Finding land is the big issue right now, isn't it?
It is. It's because, like I said, we stand behind the developers, and they're not going to cut the school system a break. John L. Beatty was great. He came down initially from what he first asked because he really liked the idea of having a school there. But let's not kid ourselves. Not every person who has land is going to think that. They're going to think, how much can I get this for? And that's their right. It's their land.
Well, and also they probably know that if they build a school there, if they have any additional land, they're going to be able to sell it for houses, because
absolutely,
where does
that's
the
what
new,
happened.
It happens every time.
When they built the school out in I'm losing my track. The last one that came online right as I was coming, it's out in the Christianity area.
Plainview?
Yes, Otters are their name.
Yeah.
When they built that, there was nothing out there.
I know.
Go out there now. And that just opened up in 2020.
Well, Rockville High School, for instance.
High School. Yeah, there was not much out there, but now look at it. And the same thing for Walter Hill. Honestly, every time I go to, I'm a big UT fan, newsflash, and I come home that way. I come home either through Las Casas or I come home up Lebanon from Lebanon.
Oh, yeah, off of I-40.
The building, the housing, it's exploding over there. When we hired the company to come in and take a look at rezoning our entire county, and they told us what our hot spots was. Obviously, Laverne was number one. Christiana was number two. but Walter Hill's number 3.
Really?
And now I don't know that Walter Hill isn't nipping at Christiana's heels the way it's been growing out there. So we are going to need that land, and I'm glad we've held on to it because we were smart to do that, because that's where we're going to need one.
Well, I know that, Oakland Middle, there was the addition built out there a few years ago, but I drive by Siegel Middle every day, and there are like 13 portables there. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's coming sooner or later.
Exactly. And when 25-26 is when the shift with the zoning happens. And Oakland will be, Oakland has been under capacity for a few years, but it won't be. It won't be. The new zoning shift is going to remedy that, because we listened to the county commission and they said, we'll give you money for a school, but we want you to fill up the seats you've got. So that's why we did what we did.
And let's face it, it's probably the most unpopular thing that you do as a school board member.
Oh, I know. Nobody loves that. Oh, thank you for the rezoning. No, never have gotten that email, but it was necessary, and we're going to get through this. I was rezoned. My own kids were rezoned while I was growing. My kids were going to school. So it happens. But all the schools, my point was, and another reason why I was so adamant when I came on the board, that we renovate and up the capacity as well at Riverdale and Oakland, was all the schools. Every parent, every child needs to feel that they are going to a quality school that looks nice, that has the academic programs that they want, and feel proud of their school. I want every kid to feel proud of that shirt. I want that Oakland shirt, or that Riverdale shirt, or that Siegel shirt, or that Plainview shirt. I want them to be proud of their school. And when you build new schools, and they're all these bells and whistles, and it's 2020, it's not 1972. And so there's a lot that can be done to a school, that newer school, that they didn't do back then. And if you don't look back and say, okay, wait a minute, Riverdale's not looking so good right now, and it's not really safe to have a bell and have thousands of kids outside, unfortunately, with all the school shootings that we've had.
Sure.
You don't have to worry about someone, blasting their way in if the kids are already outside.
And those accordion walls that separated the English rooms.
Yeah,
you remember those back in the day?
There was no doors at Riverdale. When I went to school there were no doors. You would go into the English wing, and there would be open doors, and this you could hear everything that was going on in each classroom.
I remember those very well.
Yeah, so that has been fixed, and it's going to be glorious, and I think it's going to be a big deal. We're going to have a ribbon cutting at both schools, and I'm sorry, 3 schools at Smyrna as well.
Yeah.
And let the alumni come back and see, and let the community see, this is what your tax dollars have done, and these kids are safe. They're never going to get wet again. I always felt bad for the kids at Riverdale and Oakland, because there would be a storm outside. It's not affecting the kids at Rockville. It's not affecting the kids at Siegel. Kids at Riverdale and Oakland are getting soaked. And so that's a problem. And so now you don't have to worry about that ever again.
Well, we've got Claire Maxwell joining us, Rutherford County School Board Vice Chair. We are going to talk about your special needs camp, because that is outstanding what you're doing there. But you mentioned this a second ago, upping the capacity at Riverdale and Oakland. Those are going to be like, and Smyrna, they're going to be like, what, 2,500 students? 2,500.
All the schools will be around 2,500. And
so now, is that the case at the newer schools too, that capacity?
Rockvale and Stewart's Creek were already,
Okay.
they could handle it. But Riverdale and Oakland were never built to be that big. In fact, when I was in school, I think they maybe had 1,200 or 1,300. I mean, it wasn't.
But we're creating the largest high schools in the state, aren't we, really?
We really are. And I would love to not have more than 1,500 at a school. Ideally, that's what we would love. But the problem is that would be too expensive for us to build that many additional high schools.
And the land that it would take.
The land it takes, and then you have to staff it. And it's just, this is the only way we can really do this. Now, my dad is from Washington, D.C. area, and some of their high schools are 3,500, 4,000. That's not happening.
Those are college campuses, really.
Exactly. And when they talk about an A, B, and C football team, that we're not going to have that. So this is as big as we're going to get. But we are going to, even with doing that, all this did was give us a few more years before we've got to build another comprehensive high school.
You're going to have to build one in the next 4 years,
Yes.
or otherwise we're going to be back in the same place with portables and such,
Exactly, and parents are sick and tired of it, and they're not safe. They're not really ideally what kids. We don't send our kids to school to go to portables. It's just a necessary evil right now.
Well, I don't want our time to get away before we talk about your special needs camp. This is something pretty near and dear to your heart, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I started this right before COVID. I think it was 2019, and the first year it was at Riverdale, and it was just 10 kids. And it has grown, and I've been able to kind of bounce around from high school to high school, and because I know that in the summertime, because we don't provide transportation, it's easier for some parents if it's close to them versus all the way across town. So this year we had it at Siegel. It was wonderful accommodations. Larry Creasy, thank you so much we had 2 rooms that were right there near this event center entrance, and we had 20 kids, the most we've ever had. Before that, it was like 17, but we had 20 kids. I had the best staff I've ever had. I mean, people call me now wanting to work my camp, and I don't. It used to be when it first started, I had to kind of come, please, if you can take a week, or if you can't do every week, can you do a day or two? Now they call me in January, February. Hey, Miss Claire, when's camp? I have some peer tutors that were kids in high school that worked with special needs kids that graduated, that have been with me for 5 years, and they call me. And they want to work, and they brought their friends, and it's wonderful. This year's theme was Base Discovery Center couldn't be a better partner. They are just wonderful, and they come up with the greatest projects in the mornings for the kids to do. They're learning, but they don't realize they're learning.
Yeah.
That's the best
That's
thing.
the best, isn't it?
It is. But they were based on the Olympics this year, so they got to do, instead of the javelin toss, they did the noodles toss. And instead of the hammer throw, or not the hammer, but what is that big ball? I'm sorry.
Oh, now you've got me thinking. I'll think of it in a second.
Okay.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. So instead of that, they had a very wet sponge. So
I
they would
see.
dip the sponge, it would get heavy and wet, and they would throw that, and they had lines to see who could throw it the farthest. The kids were in competition with one another, and they loved it. And
Shot put.
There
we go.
I'm so sorry. I just couldn't think of that. But yeah, so it was really, really a great day. They had an obstacle course we did one day, and then in the afternoons, that's when my part comes in. I invited the sheriff's department to bring Fred, and Fred's got a little girlfriend now, and sweetest little bloodhounds you've ever seen. And the kids absolutely loved Fred, and they just loved our first responders. They really do. They really take to them. And then on Tuesday, we had this wonderful lady bring Bonnie. Bonnie is a miniature horse that rides in a minivan. And it's the cutest thing you've ever seen, to see the sides of the drawer, the minivan open up, and here comes this little miniature horse out. And they all got to pet the horse, and they got to groom the horse. They got to brush Bonnie, and that was really great. And then I want to thank Siegel, the band. They came out and did a little mini concert for our kids on Wednesday, and they love that. And then Thursday has been, and I thank Mr. Rodriguez, has been Kona Ice Day. So Kona Ice came, and all the kids got a refreshing treat in the afternoon, and then they get recess time in the gym and play.
Sure.
And we put music on. They get to have dance parties, and it's just a wonderful week. And then Friday is the celebration, and so they always end it at Discovery Center. And this year Chick-fil-A donated their lunch. So instead we've had pizzas in the past, but they had Chick-fil-A, and they got to explore the wetlands. And some of those kids, believe it or not, have never been into Discovery Center, and their families don't know what it is. So it's a great opportunity for them to see all that Discovery Center has to offer. But I can't thank Tara McDougall and Discovery Center enough for partnering with me 5 years ago and seeing the need that I saw for these older kids. And the fact that we, this year we did go up. We've been around 40, but we went up to 50 this year. But if the parents don't have it, it's okay. It's okay. We've got scholarships. There's always someone that
Sure.
pays extra.
So now let's plan for next year. For those folks listening that are just hearing about this, maybe know a family member, maybe they have someone in the family that this would be a cool thing.
Reach out to me about February.
Okay.
We will have, by February, I will know where we're going, and I'll have the week picked out. So I'm thinking about going to Smyrna I think I'd like to go to Smyrna. We haven't been at Smyrna. We've been to Laverne. We've been to Blackman. We've been to Riverdale. We've been to Oakland. And now we've been to Siegel. So I think Smyrna's up next. And that will be advantageous for those parents that live in the northern area of town, too.
Absolutely. Well, Claire, I appreciate you coming in today. I know that we've got lots of things with school starting. We have school board races. There's going to be a new school board.
There is going to be a new school board. Butch Vaughn has already won his race, so he's already set to join us. He's taking Sheila Bratton's place. And but it's still jury's out on that last position. Coy Young has stepped down after 12 years, and Coy's a dear friend, and I thank him for his service. He's done a great job managing us through COVID and managing us through all this growth that we never saw on the horizon that it would get this way. We're averaging 1,500 a year.
Well, but you're going to be on there 4 more years.
I will be on there for 4 more years, so I've got some ideas of things I'd like to do too, especially the special needs community.
Well, I hope you will come back and visit with us. It's been fun catching up with you today.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Claire. That's Claire Maxwell joining us here on Rutherford Issues, the school board vice chair. And if you want to check out the podcast, it'll be up shortly at WGNSradio.com. Just look under podcast and Rutherford Issues. We talked about the renovations at Riverdale, Oakland, and Smyrna, and the new elementary school growth. All the information, if you just came in on the tail end, you'll want to go back and listen to the podcast. You can also find it in your favorite podcast platform, whether it's iTunes, Google, YouTube Music, all of those places. So have a great day, everybody. We'll see you back here next time.
Money issues? There's someone local you can talk to. Financial Coaching Radio with certified financial planner Jason Qualls. Weekdays at 4 on News Radio WGNS.
Hello, this is Lenny Farmer with Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home. Often when a man or woman finish pre-planning their funerals with me,